Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again. All right. And so, um, thank you all for being here today. This is very exciting. I've been connecting with you all during our monthly check-in meetings, and so it's been really good to, get to talk to you and hear about the amazing work that you all are doing. I wish you all could be able to hear each other, and I'm trying to think of different avenues in which we can make that happen because I think you all are doing similar work, but in different ways in which you can learn from each other as well. And so I think moving forward, I'm going to look at a system in which we can do that. But it has been amazing getting to connect with you all. And I just thought, you know what? I'm happy to have to finally kickstart this monthly webinar for us to, see the common trends, the themes, kind of talk about if there's any things on our end that we need to connect with you and talk to you all as a whole together. This would be the place. If there's any information like you're going to hear later, PSU is going to do a little presentation for you all about the evaluations piece. There's a good place for that. And so I'm just happy to kickstart our webinars and, we'll go from there. So let's see. The agenda. This is going to be the agenda today. We're gonna obviously gonna talk a little bit about housekeeping. We're gonna do some quick little introductions. There's some new staff. As we all know, there's been a lot of transitions for many of you guarantees. A lot of new people in your positions or in your agency that are present here today in this webinar. And so do some quick introductions. Let's see. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the check-ins, kind of the themes I've been hearing from multiple grantees. Just what you're going through, just what you're hearing, what your families are saying, just what you're doing. We're going to talk about the reports. Definitely, that's a big one today. Adina and I specifically, purposely made sure this webinar started after the first round of reports that were due at the end of due in October, for us to have the time to evaluate the reports and for us to talk about, we knew there was going to be some little kinks and trinks that we're going to need to fix and talk about to provide more clarity. And so we're going to take a look at that. And then PSU is going to talk to you about the evaluations piece, and then after that, if there's time, it's just a quick slide with their quick reminders about what's coming up. And so that's going to be the agenda for today. Adina or Adina, please let me know if you see anything in the chat function box. My screen does not allow me to see anything anymore. And so just let me know if you see anything. And then just a little bit of housekeeping. If you're using your phone or if you're using your, computer, laptop, please put on your mute button. It just stops transmitting background noise. Your phone, click the mute button. And then please use the chat function if you have any questions. We will try to get to them as much as we can. But if we don't get to them, we ask for you to give us grace and we will connect with you after the meeting. Also, if we do have times for questions, please consider the question you're asking. If it's a question that is a general question that will be great for everyone to know, definitely write it in the chat box. If it's one that's generally just for your agency where we should connect more one-on-one, just shoot us a quick email and Adina or I will get to you. And then lastly, be patient with technology. I am not a technology guru at all. I should be, but I'm not. We're all still learning. We've been in this pandemic for a while and we've been all pretty much providing virtual services. And, technology has been a huge piece of the virtual services and we continue to learn more and experience more. And so we ask for grace for everyone on that. And so just a little bit of a housekeeping on that. And then roll call, I would hope that you would turn on your webcam so that everyone can kind of see everyone. There, like I said earlier, there's some new staff in some agencies. There's been a lot of turnover. There's been COVID. There's been, just promotions from within. All the great things I've been hearing as well. And so there's new staff. I see that there were some here that are new as well. And so it'd be great just to do a little bit of introductions. To the ones that I have not met yet, my name is Kimberly, and I'm the program manager, and I oversee the equity fund. And so, I get to connect with you all on a monthly basis, which is, honestly, in my schedule, that's what I look forward to the most. And so, I oversee the program, and then I work alongside my partner Adina. And so, Adina, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Adina Hayslip. I'm grant manager for Equity Fund. I am in charge of your agreements, monitoring, compliance, and budgets. Also, Kimberly, just for roll call, I asked everybody to list their organization in a chat box for tracking purposes. So nice to see you all.
And then, thank you, Adina. Then we also have Portland State here. Portland State University will be talking about the evaluations piece. I'm pretty sure they will be introducing themselves in a little bit. But Portland State, if you want to come on in and just say hi really quickly, and then we can, so everyone can see who's all from Portland State.
Ñahuiscano, Skagueno, Amanda Cross, Nigaso.
Hi, I'm Beth Green. I'm from Portland State.
I can go. Lorelei Mitchell, Portland State.
And Callie Lambert.
Okay. Is that everyone from Portland State? I think that is. There's 4 of you. Okay. And so they'll talk more a little bit after Adina and I are done talking with you all about the evaluations piece. And so I'm very excited to hear a lot about what they're going to be doing and asking. And so we'll move along. And so, like what Adina said, we have 35 grants. We have 28 grantees. Like I said last time, there's a couple of grantees that has multiple grants with us. And so hence the reason why there's 35 versus 28. And so if you are present for your organization, please put in and say that you're here. Like what Adina said, we're going to take note so that we know who to connect with that is not present. I know I got some emails from some grantees about family emergencies and things like that. So I already know who I'm going to be connecting with, a couple of individuals. But then if there's, just make sure that if you're looking at the chat function box, if there's multiple people from a team that's here, but no one has chimed in yet, please make sure you chime in for your organization. Okay. And so, but yeah, this is all of you. I'm so excited to be working with all of you. I love our check-ins. I'm just going to move on straight to our check-in meetings. As we talk about when I meet with you all and I ask, what are you doing? What changes have you made? Obviously, we know COVID has affected everything. I would say at first there was one grantee that's still providing in-person services, but I think there's 2 now. There's 2 that are providing in-person services, and those grantees has had the availability and the capability to split rooms, to have smaller numbers of children in the classroom, to provide the in-person services that's needed for their community, while the rest has gone virtual. And it's amazing to hear about the kits that are going on. I'm hearing about the kindergarten transition kits, the educational kits that you're providing to your families and the children. Like, it's amazing hearing how much the parents want. So what's happening as grantees, some are providing the kits, and then they go on there's lessons on online, and so the parents attend it and they work on the kits with the children together while the teacher's showing it. And so it's amazing just to hear how the parents are wanting the sessions to be longer, and how they want more kits, and so obviously with COVID, there were some hiccups, when it comes to technology, when it comes to lack of internet access. But the ones that have been able to get it, just hearing how much the parents are really actually liking the virtual services and loving the kits has been amazing. And there's been a variety of kits that I've been informed of. There's PP&E kits that grantees are providing. There's food banks. There's the like I said, the educational kits, and so there's so many different types of kits that are being given to parents from you all, that it's just amazing to me just to hear about that. Another thing that I've been hearing a lot about too is the parent education classes or the trainings. Some grantees have changed their topics of the trainings to be COVID related, because what they found is, in order to connect the parents and the families, they had to meet the families where they're at, right? And so I know a couple of grantees have changed their topics to more to, Zoom 101, how to navigate Zoom, some have even done some where it's, for some communities, it's really important for the women to be together in a room to be more comfortable. So some has provided trainings just for women. I apologize. That's my puppy in the background. And then some has been able to continue to have parent trainings on topics that parents have initially wanted. And so, every one of you, every grantee has been very unique and different, but then it's amazing just the work you're doing. And so I'm just so happy to hear the different work that's going on. I've heard a lot about the different platforms. A lot said, Kimberly, we use Zoom at the beginning, and it's just the parents just can't. And you know what? We found out that Facebook Live works best with them because they have Facebook on their phone. They can access it better. And so we transitioned from Zoom or Google Meets to Facebook Live. Some have said Zoom doesn't work, but Google Meets work. And so it's amazing just to see what every community, every grantee is utilizing for their community. Some are saying we use FaceTime, and when they're able to have that capability, we use that. The staff uses that to call the parents, talk and meet with the parents. And so that has been amazingly going on. And then we also talked about, teachers. I should have put staff, but staff as well. Just staff having to be flexible and navigating through all these services, and just how they're having to really make sure that they're individualizing, but also broad enough to be able to how do you say it, have the mental capacity to do their work. And so that has been something that that has been coming a lot on in the check-in meetings. And so, like I said, COVID, loss of jobs, it's present in the community. What I'm hearing is at the beginning, when we first connected, I heard about, you know, um, COVID being in your community, right? And teaching them what quarantining is, and just helping them understand how important it is to quarantine, because a lot of these cultural backgrounds are really family oriented, and they're all about the community and being together, and just giving them the educational understanding of how important it is to quarantine, and then now what I'm hearing is it is very present. They are now saying, multiple people, they have someone within their family that has COVID. And so that's kind of a situation that's going on with the communities that I'm hearing a lot about recruitment and staff. you know um, Parents are not wanting, distant learning. They're not wanting, virtual services. They're having staffing issues. They're not finding staff they've had recruitment ads out for months. And so that's something that I'm hearing from grantees. Like I said, distant learning was the lack of access. They have more than one child, and there's a lack of space. They're saying, we don't have a one room where we can dedicate for our child for these virtual services. We have multiple children, and we don't have the capacity to do that. The conflict with the parents' work schedule and the technology gap has been from 0 to 100. A lot of grantees has talked about how they realize how much of a gap there is with technology, and how they have to actually go back and scale back and meet the parents and provide technical assistance. And then we also talked about one big piece that came out was equipment. Like a lot of school districts within the grantees are providing the equipment, the Chromebooks and everything. But then one big piece is, the fear of holding on to these properties. Parents are saying we don't want to hold on to these properties because it's kind of like checking out a library book. If something happens to it, you have to pay for it, right? And so there's a fear of holding on to these properties. And so there's that piece that's coming along with it. And most importantly, what I've been hearing consistently is food and housing insecurity. I know during this time of the season, um, it has came up a lot. And so this is the number one, the two topics that I'm hearing from every grantee. And I would like to say one thing that I am very happy to hear about is the ongoing surveying of the grantees. What I'm hearing is you all are surveying your staff, you're surveying the families, the parents, what are their needs, what resources do they need. You're asking your staff if they're okay. Like are they comfortable with slowly transitioning to in-person services, or would they rather prefer to stay telecommuting, and things like that. So I love the fact that you're being flexible and you're surveying your staff and you're surveying the parents to be able to meet their needs. And so that's something great that has been happening. And so I'm now going to transition and talk about monitoring. So during these check-in meetings, I will connect with you about your reports as well. But as Adina and I, we're combing through the reports now, there's a lot of things that we're seeing. And so whether it is a lack of communication or a misunderstanding, even I needed to be on the same page, because even I had some confusion. And so I'm going to own up to that. And so I wanted to highlight, there's 30 program grants and there's 5 planning grants. If you have a planning grant, you do not submit anything to us monthly, okay? And so what's happened is we had a couple of planning grant grantees that have submitted us a monthly report, and so you do not need to do that. And so what you submit to us are the quarterly, okay? So that's the expenditure report and the performance report. When you click in on the a reporting portal, it would say which reports are under the planning grant and which ones under the program grant. And so I want you just to understand, and this was for me too, because I was getting confused with this piece. Adina has told me over and over, and it just did not click in my head. And so I don't blame any of you. And so planning grants quarterly. Quarterly is when you will turn in reports for us, okay? And then program grants, it's monthly, okay? You have that monthly program report that you need to submit to us. All right. And if you are a grantee that has a planning and a program grant, then you have the same expectations. So just know when you have to turn in which report. So if you have a planning grant and a program grant, just know that when you hit that quarterly report submission, you will have to do it for both grants, basically. And so I believe there's 1 or 2 of you that has that. And so just for that sense of understanding, because there's been a lot of confusion on that. Another piece too is when you turn in these monthly reports, there's multiple pieces to it. You turn in the numbers and all that. You also need to turn in the demographics report. And what I'm going to show you is kind of the submissions of how many I've received, how many were missing, and how many are completed and not completed. And so you'll see this is our first round of report submissions. And so we knew this would happen. And so this is where we're going to grow together and learn together. And so, and definitely feel free to connect with me. I will definitely be connecting with you on our check-ins after this webinar, just for better clarity if needed. If you want immediate assistance, which I would prefer, definitely connect with me. So for budget templates, we need your budget templates. There's 3 of you, 3 grantees that have not submitted it. Adina can talk more about this, but then definitely we need budget templates turned in. There's 3 that are missing. For program grants, like I said with the confusion, there's 2 reports that are missing. And so I will connect with those 2 grantees and say, hey, FYI, let's connect. Let's talk about the quarterly report, and let's work that out. And same thing with the expenditure reports for the planning grants. And so if you're a planning grantee, if you can remember or not remember, just let me know. Hey, Kimberly, I'm not sure. Did I submit mine? I'll let you know. Okay. And just to not confuse it with monthly reports. And so this next slide is the big one. Okay. So there's 30 program grants. Okay. And so for each month, you're supposed to submit a monthly report. In July, we're missing 4. There was 26 submitted. As you can see in August, it shows 27 out of 30. It tells you how many we received, right? So which is the number is great for submissions. But when we look at completion, that means, for example, if we look at October, okay, there was 27 that were submitted, but only 15 of them were complete. That being said, the other submissions did not include a demographics report. Okay, so when you complete these monthly reports, we need the demographics report as well. As we've stated, the demographics report, the enrollment sheet that we have used, put up as a tool for you to use, those are the information that we need to collect continuously. And so, in order for it to be a completed report, it needs to have the demographics report. And here's the thing: if you did not serve any children in July, you would submit a demographics report that just said 0. Okay. And so Adina will talk about how you'll be submitting those reports. But then I just wanted to say, even if you're not, if you did not provide any services in July, I know it's annoying to just simply submit a paperwork that says 0, but we need that submission. Okay. And so I will be connecting with you all. And so this kind of tells us, this is where we need to work on, and so, and I will be connecting with you during our monthly check-ins just to make sure if there's any clarity that's needed or if you have any questions. Okay. And so, and then for the quarterly expenditure report, we're missing 3. And so we really need those to be turned in. And then Adina will talk a little bit more about those. But before I hand it off to Adina, I wanted to talk a little bit about the narratives piece. I've talked with many grantees about this already, but I'm going to say it again in this meeting. We need the narratives to be thorough. Okay, thorough as in make sure you're giving your agency credit. We have a tendency of doing this amazing work, but we're not giving ourselves credit in the sense of saying we're owning and we're doing all this amazing stuff with families and children's. What I say to people is just imagine being a third-party evaluator coming in and reading these reports. They need to be able to understand and know what you are doing as an agency. Okay, and so these little bullet points I put down are just examples of things you can touch on, like kind of the status of your program, staffing, COVID, how it's affected your program, outreach, recruitments, families, partnerships, and things like that. And so that those are things that I need you to report on. And so I have an example. This is an example from a grantee that, let me close this really quick, from a grantee that I have asked if I can use their report as an example. And so this is what they have been turning in monthly to me. Kind of activities narrative, what they're doing, personnel, staffing situations, what they're doing, who they're trying to hire. Let me make this bigger. So they give me a little narrative, in bullet points. You can just give me bullet points. It's completely fine. They talk about personnel, kind of like who they need to hire. They talked about non-personnel workstations. They talk about the family outreach and support. They kind of write down what they're doing, who they're connecting with, community partners, the communities they're serving. And then they, put note here for me to understand their narrative. And then they put down their numbers, and so this gives me a thorough understanding of what they are doing in their program and where they're at. And so this allows me to be able to understand. So for example, if someone wanted, like, for example, like I've said all the time, if my supervisor said, Kimberly, can I see how the reports from, 3 grantees, and I happen to select one of yours, I hope that my supervisor would be able to understand what you are providing, and so I ask that for these narratives, for you guys to be as thorough and to give yourself credit. Like, what are you doing? Make sure it's documented.
Just to interrupt Kimberly, this created a little bit of confusion. You're still required to submit your reports online.
Yes.
This is some extra steps that some of you taken, but the what
Yes.
we need is the online reports.
Yes,
that
they
you
are.
have on
Yes. And so so what some grantees have done is they've copied and pasted and put that in the online portal. And so that's just what you need to do. And so some have just attached it like how they had attached it, whichever way is fine, but this is online, definitely. And then I'm going to go off to Adina.
Okay, so just to answer the chat, no, this is something that some of you went above and beyond a little bit with Kimberly, but what we need is what is online for the reporting. So you all have portal link, whatever questions are there, we need you to answer them as detailed as possible. And that is what is required at this point. So I want to talk about some issues that we have with reporting. The first is program grant. I added additional instructions on the forms. When you click on them, you will have additional explanation with each question if something needed to be detailed or explained. The main thing is demographics report versus population served report. So when you go to the program grant monthly report form, you have how many children and families you served per activity that you selected in your application that we are contracted with you about. So for example, this month you served 50 kids, 50 children and 25 parents. If you have parent-child interaction, please list that there. That counts your monthly performance. That if they are duplicated kids, if you are serving same 50 children each month, you are required to put 50 on that list. When it comes to demographic report, the green form that you attach as PDF in your report, that is counting only on the duplicated kids. So the first report in July, you have 50 children. We need demographic information for those 50 children. Next month, you had 2 additional. So you are reporting 52 children, but your demographic report will only add new children and families that joined your program. So, you know, first month when you have the biggest influx of families and children for services, we will receive as much data as you collected at that time. And then moving forward, each month, we just need new children that joined, like demographic information about new families that joined your program. So there is no need to duplicate each month, put 50 children in their demographic report. Just add the ones that are new to your program and that we didn't count before. We want to make sure that we are not double counting, because at the end of the year, we want to show, okay, this organization provided services to 50 family a month in average. However, we don't want to have, you know, 12 times 15, 12 times 50 when it comes to demographics. So I just need demographic for those that are attending your services for the first time. And then moving forward, they are not added to demographics report. If you are still confused about it, I added some language in the application, but please give me a call. You all have our phone numbers and I'm happy to walk you through that. Second thing that we notice and that ties into PDF that Kimberly mentioned is there's a narrative section on the monthly report. We need you to use that narrative section, and that is going to help us understand your program, but also, especially with the grantees that have different activities that are having kindergarten transition and parenting education, it would help us understand who is attending what and help us create the documents like that for once we report the impacts that this grant is having. Do I have any questions? No, okay. Can we get a next slide? Same issue with planning report, planning grant, quarterly report. They need to be as detailed as possible. As you remember, the idea of the planning grant was to help organization explore the possibilities of, like, there was a need. They thought that there was a need in community for services, but they didn't have, you know, funds to dig deeper into possibility of having, like, possibility of exploring the need to have services later on. So planning grant covers that part, the community outreach, everything that you did to try to identify need for specific services in your community. We need you to give us the narrative, what you have been doing each quarter. This is the quarterly report, so it really makes it a little bit easier than reporting each month, but it also gives you enough time to really give us a detailed narrative on what you have been doing for the past quarter.
Mm-hmm. Same spiel like what I said. Make it thorough and give your agency credit.
Okay, next slide. And then expenditure report. This is where I'm seeing the most issues. So first thing is, many of you did not claim funds in EGMS as of this morning. I just want to remind everybody, by the end of December, we will be halfway through this program year. So at this point, I need to see some activities in EGMS because that tells me, A, the program is being conducted, and B, you need these funds. So if you did not start your program, send me an email. If you have an issue with accessing EGMS, please send me an email or call me anytime, and I'm going to walk you through that. We received one budget template, so as of this morning, we are missing 2. And they are required 45 days after signed agreement, so we should have gotten them by this point. Another thing is, make sure that you share your budget template with your accounting staff, because your expenditure report needs to match your budget template. If you allocated 20% of your total funds to admin, we are tracking that. We are tracking your expenditure by line item, as well as matching them with your claims in EGMS. Also, this grant is not reimbursement based. If you have, we got a lot of questions, like we have trainings that are ending on 13th of July, but program is ending on 30th of June, or we have services that we have training that will be in 2 months, but we have to pay the company providing services right now. That is allowed. You can claim your funds ahead of time. And last thing, your budget narrative as in your online forms also need to be filled out. You have majority of line items, actually all the line items in your online expenditure, quarterly expenditure report matches your budget template. There's nothing new there. However, if you have any different expenditures, or you want to move some funds from one line item to another, that is the place where you add your narrative. And then finally, like, because of we internally have a lot of turnaround with staff, so and I know that you guys do too. If you have new staff that are not familiar with the whole RFA process from the beginning earlier this year, please have them read the applications and your contract. If there's staff here that doesn't have access to that, email me. I'm going to send it to you. I have it ready to go. Because you need to understand what you submitted in order to report correctly and fill out the expectations. The other thing is, if you are anticipating delay in your reports, please notify us as soon as possible. We are in the middle of pandemic, so we understand that there will be some unplanned situation. Just reach out to us a couple of days before or on the day and acknowledge that you are aware that the reports are due, but you will not be able to submit them on time. So we don't have to send you, million emails reminding you. We will keep track of that. And lastly, like we shared our phone numbers and we can share them again. We are here to help you submit these reports. We are here to help you get creative with your budgets and try to help as many families as possible. We are here to help you submit the reports on time and train your new staff. So please, you know, if you are the head of your organization, share our contact information with all of your staff, especially the grantees that are receiving multiple grants for different activities, or program and planning grant, because a lot of times one of those two are kept in dark. We can reach out to them. We can have like one-on-one calls. We can jump on a call just for a quick question. We are really available there, but make sure that all of your staff have our contact information. And then finally, claim funds as soon as possible. They're there, they're yours. You just need to log into eGIMS and submit quarterly expenditure report and claim your funds. So that's all I had.
Awesome. So I'm going to move on, and it's time for Portland State. And so I'm going to unshare my screen and then see if Amanda can share her screen.
Unmute. Kind of an important piece. Okay. So welcome to the evaluation portion of this meeting. We introduced ourselves earlier, but we thought we would start with introductions. I'm trying to figure out how to, the one thing I didn't check was how to advance my slides when I have this GoToMeeting open.
I just pressed the space bar, or the arrow, and that's what's been, that's what's
when I pressed it, it asked me if I want to leave the meeting.
Oh.
I'm like, no, don't want to leave the meeting.
Are you in PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay.
There we go. I don't know how I did it though. That's, I guess I got to hit the right button next time. I'm Amanda Cross-Hemmer, and the rest of my team introduced themselves. One person isn't here, that's Ron Joseph, and then we have 2 team members who are yet to be hired, and we're hoping that when those announcements are released, that Kimberly, you might be willing to send them out to grantees, and grantees might help us circulate those to their connections in their communities, because we're really trying to recruit people who are representative of the communities that you all serve. So I wanted to announce that that's coming. This is, in the interest of getting to know each other, this is my son really pleased with his new ribbons that he just had sewed on his ribbon shirt. So I wanted to start by talking about the rules that come with the evaluation. So this is part of the legislative mandate that says they're going to conduct an evaluation. They're going to use both qualitative and quantitative data, and that they're going to look at positive child indicators, including early childhood school readiness, positive family indicators, use of culturally specific methods, and building capacity of culturally specific organizations. And this is spelled out a little bit further, but there's some room for interpretation, and this is where we're going to need your help and partnership. For example, early childhood readiness indicators include families' ability to support children quote, as evidenced by parental attitudes and involvement in children's early learning. But we get to then define what does evidenced mean and what attitudes are important and what they look like, and as well as things like involvement. I think I figured it out. Okay, so when you think of evaluation, what is one word that comes to mind? If you could just, if you have a chance to throw that into the chat box just for a second. Take a few seconds to. And Callie and Beth and Lorelei, I can't actually see the chat when I'm presenting, so if you could just throw a few words out, that would be really great.
And I see Beth may be speaking, but is on mute.
Yes, sorry. Critical. Can I measure what I'm doing? Client stories, thoroughness, reporting, results, improvements, challenges, storytelling. Program performance, increase client skills. Feedback, numbers, assessments. In the whole gamut. Outcomes and performance. Assessing, outcomes. Lots of outcomes. I love that we have storytelling, thoroughness, forms to fill out, improvement plans.
Okay, thank you.
Can I read the last one because I really like it? The importance of developing, the importance of developing metrics in partnership and alignment.
That's a perfect segue because the next topic I'm going to talk about here is our evaluation approach and what that means. We really do try to work in participatory ways, and that means developing evaluation processes in collaboration with stakeholders and being utilization focused, which means giving you information that is useful and accessible for various audiences, which include you and your organizations, as well as the ELD, and in this case, the legislature, too, as a stakeholder in our reporting. So what are we asking when we say we want to collaborate or partner? We are looking for people to participate with us on the development of an evaluation framework. We have to walk the line where we're creating space for your authentic engagement beyond token inclusion, without overtaxing you and asking you to do our job as well as yours. So we really are trying to do some things to try to make sure we don't, again, overtax you. So we're asking people if they will participate, step up as stakeholders that we're going to communicate with regularly. And by regularly, I mean monthly, and for 6 months at a time commitment. And we are wanting to make sure that you're provided some compensation for this. So there is monetary compensation attached to participating as a stakeholder and providing feedback. I'll discuss more specifically what pieces and parts of that look like and are. I will say the monthly engagement, we're trying to do that as openly and through as many venues as possible. We may do something like Zoom meetings. That may not be feasible sometimes, so we may be looking at email or phone check-ins, but basically being able to connect with you to talk about the various aspects of the evaluation. And again, we're asking for sort of a 6-month commitment to that kind of partnering if possible. And depending on interest, we will get more specific about the kind of compensation offered, but we do want to acknowledge that we are asking you to do work. You know, too often we ask partners to do work and then sort of act like they should do it for free, when that isn't really fair, right? Like, this is work we're asking for, and we want to recognize that. So we want to kind of think about the definitions that we're using of how I mentioned earlier the defining early childhood readiness and things like evidence and attitudes and involvement. We want to collaborate to define how progress toward the Equity Fund program is conceptualized and measured, which means discussing and interpreting the rules together and what they mean for your program and the community that you serve, contributing central questions to be answered. So like, what do you want the legislature to know? I've been participating in some check-ins, so I've gotten to meet some of you before, or I know some of you from other contexts as well. But we want your input on what do you think is important here for people to know about the services you're providing. Then we want to help with suggesting culturally specific service outcomes meaningful to your communities. You know them best through your services, and so sometimes we measure things that are not culturally appropriate, really. So we need some input on that. And in the nitty-gritty, that means reviewing document drafts. Like if we offer some possible questions in addition to the ones you offer, or we workshop those as a group, we want your review and feedback. And that's, again, that's a process we've used before. Callie and I and Lorelei and Beth all worked on the learning brief that preceded this preceded the Equity Fund, and we worked with some of you before on a process for reviewing things and getting feedback and trying to make sure that while there are a lot of different needs to balance, we are incorporating and handling different perspectives and ideas and coming back with something that's comfortable for you. This also means determining appropriate data collection methods and sources. And so advising on culturally appropriate data collection methodologies. Sometimes we hear things like surveys are not appropriate for my community, or that question just doesn't translate into this language well, or all kinds of things. A lot of people, storytelling is an important part for often for culturally specific evaluations. So it may be that investing a lot in qualitative data collection is really important. Those sorts of things. And then again, providing feedback. Is the way we've designed this or set this up appropriate for your community? Or are we gonna hit a wall if we try to do this? Is this is this going to be meaningful for your families? Are they going to feel exploited if we do it this way? Or is it exploitive and we aren't being sensitive to that? We need that kind of information and feedback. And so again, we're like sometimes it's about putting things in front of you, taking what you've told us and trying to package it back in a way that makes sense to you, and doing things like reviewing translations for context and that sort of thing are the things that we're asking. And just thinking now about when you think about what you want known about startup, what comes to mind for your organization, your work, your families? This is our first meeting together. We're meeting for the first time. What do you want us to know walking away from here today? If you could just share something briefly about startup and what you think we need to know. Oh, I figured out how to pull up.
Are you asking us to do this on chat or out loud?
Either one. Some
Okay.
people are, yeah. Feel free to jump in and share some things with the whole group if you're comfortable, and if not, the chat is also an option.
Well, I mean, we do this all the time. I turned in lots of reports already. They weren't very good, but anyway, we want you to know as much as possible about how hard it was, about what our own staff families are going through, as well as all the families that we surveyed and identified what their needs are and what the obstacles are, and yeah, about the status of our organization and what our what our future looks like. And I don't know, I'd love to tell you everything. I just didn't take time to write a very detailed report, but I love the report you showed. I think that was Latino Network. I'm going to start using that template. That was great.
All right, well, I'm cognizant that it's 11:55, so I think I'm going to end there. If you're interested in learning more about being an evaluation partner, this is my contact information. And also, I put Lorelai's on here. I know some of you have worked with Lorelai through the Growing Master Trainer Project, and I thought if you're more comfortable connecting with her, feel free. And just let us know if you're interested or want to learn more. And I'm gonna turn it back over to Kimberly, but I did email a PDF of this presentation with this information in it to Kimberly, so that's available if you'd like.
Yes.
I'm going to throw in one more thing. Is the only thing that I've done, I would love to be evaluation partner. We've done it before with PSU. All I need to know is how much time will it take, because of course time is really precious right now. So I don't know if everyone else has had this experience, but we literally have money to hire more people and are having a hard time finding more people because the workforce seems to be short on what the things we need. And schools are finding the same thing. They've got hundreds of positions out for teachers and assistants and bilingual everybody, and it's just really hard to find enough people. So we're super busy, but I would love to be a partner. So
maybe I'd ask, tell us what's reasonable. Isn't it, how much time do you think would be reasonable to ask? And not necessarily right on the spot now, because you haven't had a chance to think about it, but that way we might have a sense from people too about how much bandwidth people have, and we can design something that can meet that parameter.
Well, the biggest thing in my past was that the reports that the ECEF is requiring right now, as far as the monthly demographics and reports, if it looked like Latino Networks did, and then basically an hour, phone interview with you all and our staff each month, as long as we didn't have a whole lot more paperwork to fill out and a whole lot more counting and diving into our data to provide you with more and more and more. That's the key. So
Thank you for that feedback.
And I just want to know, we did get some great answers in the chat. I know we're running out of time, but to make sure we capture those for to take forward to our group planning. Thank you for sharing those who did.
Well, thank you, PSU. Let's see. Yes, I'm unmuted. Last reminders, like I said, November monthly report coming up, December 15th. Budget templates, if you haven't turned them in, returning any remaining reports that needs to be completed. And just for clarity, the example I showed you is just what, which is not Latino Network, was a different equity grant that they submit that as their narrative every month, and so they either cut and paste it into the narrative portion, or they add it as an attachment, and so that's what they've done. And so
oh, sorry, I thought it was Latino Network. I don't know why.
yeah, no, I made sure I made it, and I asked them first, and they allowed me to share it, but I did take out their names, but no, it wasn't, but so that's just an example for you guys to kind of see, because it allowed anyone to read, to understand the picture of their agency and what they're doing with the equity fund, and in general, and they even provided more context than needed, really, but which is great because it gives us the whole picture. But that is just an example. That's not an additional thing to do. That was their narrative that they're submitting in with their monthly reports, and so just wanted to provide that clarity. But like I said, we will continue the check-ins. I think the check-ins will be important for us to connect about the reports and just to provide clarity and for any assistance that's needed. But yeah, thank you all for attending. If you have any questions, please call or shoot Adina and I an email or a phone call, and we will respond. But other than that, this will be the end of our meeting. I'm looking at time, and it's time to go. So thank you all for attending.